Coconut bullshit, the dragon drink. Take one sip and puke into the sink. Take another, tell me what you think. Coconut bullshit, a dragon drink.
I feel attacked.
You should, you drink pure sugar.
Fuck. Welcome to Cooking with Alkali. Today, Alkali will be making jambalaya.
Hello everyone and welcome to Cooking with Alkali. Today we're making a favorite recipe of mine, and that is jambalaya. I started making jambalaya actually last year. I screwed it up the first two times because I just didn't follow a few basic things. So today we're going to teach you an insanely easy recipe and one of the few that you almost kind of want to follow the instructions. We're going to start off by picking our protein. Now you can put almost anything into jambalaya. Today we're going with a much spicier version of jambalaya because everyone in my house has been sick for like 3 weeks and we want to be able to taste it. So our proteins are going to be chicken, andouille sausage, and shrimp. I highly recommend, no matter what proteins you put in there, pick andouille sausage. It is amazing. You can find it in most meat departments. It kind of looks like an Italian sausage. Absolutely delicious. After that, a ton of veggies, a little bit of water, rice. It's a bit of an easier way to do this. Now, there's a million different ways to make jambalaya. This is my way to make it because it's easy and uses less pots. So let's start off with the protein. We're going to start by just simmering it. We're going to cook it. We don't need it perfect because it's still going to cook a bit inside the jambalaya when we're done, but we want to get that nice sear on it. So let's come over here and start off with our chicken. Now, in a frying pan, all we need is about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin. The version of the olive oil is extra.
Version.
Extra virgins. See, always, whenever you're cooking jambalaya, use extra virgins. Cannot recommend that enough. Just that pent up, that raw anger that you get from being a virgin, yeah, that makes good olive oil.
Oh, now you're getting topical.
Very. So now after squeezing our virgins and coating the bottom of the pan, we're going to let that heat up a little bit. Now, you could, I don't recommend this, you could, if you're looking for a milder flavor, go without seasoning your proteins. I'm not going to do that because I have a problem. So adding to the virgin olive oil, it's no longer extra virgin, it's been inside of a pot, and as we all know, pot causes the loss of virginity. So we're just going to get this. If you've never done garlic before, bear in mind, you can burn garlic easily. Do not burn your garlic. Garlic is an amazing aromatic. Garlic is an amazing flavor, but if you burn it, it's bitter as hell. So we're not going to let that sit there for very long, because it'll keep cooking. And to that, we're adding 3 large cut chicken breasts.
Okay.
Now, once those go in there, and by the way, there's a little bit extra of the olive oil because we're going to need it for the sausage that's going in. This chicken is going to kind of take up a lot of this oil. It's going to get coated in it. And while that's happening, added to this, we're going to add a bit, I don't measure this, I'm going to say half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Maybe a quarter of a teaspoon because I'm adding a lot of spices to the actual jambalaya itself. So let's go quarter teaspoon of cayenne. And I'm cheating today. You can make the spice blend yourself. It is amazing to make it by yourself. I found out I had almost none of the ingredients that I needed, so I just bought it. A simple Cajun spice blend. I picked it up at my local grocery store. Now this is going to go on a little bit heavier.
Nice.
And that is it. That's Cajun chicken. Now all we want is to incorporate all these spices. We're going to get this going, and we're going to get this chicken to the point where we can set it off to the side while we make the rest of our jambalaya and put it all together. I cannot stress that prep work is key. If I wasn't filming this, I would have still had all the prep work done beforehand. Every vegetable chopped, every protein chopped, the shrimp deveined, everything beforehand, because you don't want anything sitting out very long. This is all going to move fairly quickly. You'll be shocked with how soon you're going to go from a normal jambalaya, making the jambalaya to a finished jambalaya.
Gotcha.
And as always, once we incorporate those, some black pepper, and very carefully salt. Do not over salt.
Seems like you had 8 turns of the pepper and 4 turns of the salt, so...
I'm just kind of coating it. You could have done a pinch just in the palm of your hand and just spread it out. And down in the description below, we'll try to give you a little bit better idea. I do a lot of my cooking by eye. Like, this isn't professional cooking. This is barely like child grade cooking. This is, oh God, I'm in college and I have access to a stove cooking.
You've already gone farther than I have. I would stop at the 2 spices, probably.
2 spices and chicken, that's all Xander needed.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to let that cook for a little bit. While that's happening, just wanted to remind everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and if you get a chance, send us your recipes. I absolutely love making stuff, and if you keep them simple, normal recipes, I will probably make it. If you make it insanely complex recipes, I will make it and screw it the hell up. All right, our next protein we're adding is one of my absolute favorites. This is andouille sausage. You'll notice it looks a lot like a Polish sausage. It cuts like a Polish sausage, but it has an incredible flavor to it. You don't need to season this one at all. That's going to come exactly as you want it.
And you just get that from your fresh market or wherever?
I got that from Pete's Fresh Market. I've seen it before in my local Jewel. I've seen it at Sam's Club. Usually, you're not going to find too much in the actual behind the counter. You'll probably find it pre-packaged. Pre-packaged andouille is really the only way I found it. If you're lucky enough to have it behind the meat counter, dear God, get fresh. That would be amazing. So, this chicken is almost done. To make sure, I'm already pretty confident. I'm going to take the biggest piece I can see, cut it in half, and look for pink. I don't see any pink.
Whoa.
Chicken's done. Next, andouille is pre-cooked. Turn down your heat. I had it on high to get that sear. I'm going to turn it down to like a medium low, using the same pan because I want that spice. I want that seasoning. Throw in your andouille. Okay. Now notice I mentioned that we're having shrimp too, but I have not and will not be cooking the shrimp during this step. The shrimp is going to go right into the jambalaya when we have it more of a soupy texture. That hot water and all that, that's going to cook through the shrimp, and that's actually a timer. You'll see us do that in a little bit. But for right now, we're going to let the andouille cook down. We're really not doing too much to the andouille, we're just heating it back up. We want that to get heated because when it does go in, these 2 ingredients are going to go in right at the end. They're going to get a little bit more cook time out of the jambalaya itself, but not a lot. So we're going to come right back and we're going to start working with our vegetables. See you then. We're back and my kitchen smells so good I almost want to stop making this video and just eat the sausage. Not the first time I've said that. So. As we can see here, once again, just like Polish sausage, you just need to know that it's done. I was tasting a few pieces. It is completed. We're just throwing that in with the chicken, and to keep it warm, merp, done, good. That goes in the sink. Now, the next part, I'm doing this because I'm making a large batch, and because I like to have a bit more control over this step. So instead of using a traditional pan or even a Dutch oven, which I've used before, I'm using a wok for this next step. Now, why am I doing that? Well, that's because we're about to cook a lot of vegetables. We're about to cook them to the point that after all this is said and done, they're going to almost dissolve and just be this amazing flavor. So to start, we're going to take 2 tablespoons of the virgins.
The virgins.
The virgins. And put some in there too. And then, inside this beautiful aromatic bowl, we have 3 bell peppers. Now what I did is I actually used 4 so I could get all the colors. 1 red, 1 yellow, one orange, and one other color, possibly green, maybe chartreuse, I don't remember.
Turquoise.
Turquoise. And then I just saved some of them for tomorrow morning's breakfast. So I've lost them. I was going to show you cut pieces. Tomorrow morning I'm making an omelet. So this is the equivalency of 3 bell peppers, 2 stalks of celery, 1 whole white onion, and 4 cloves of garlic. Now we chopped this beforehand, we got it all ready, and once again, you want this chopping to be fine. You want everything in here. And also, which is why I'm a little disappointed that I just put my hand in this, I also have in there 4 jalapeños and 2 serrano peppers.
Oh boy.
Now we're doing that to get some of the flavor, the spice up. So this is all getting added to the wok.
Nice.
Now, this seems like a lot of vegetables, but this next step is your longest one. We're going to start cooking this down. We are going to take this, we are going to cook this until the onions are translucent, until our entire kitchen smells like either jambalaya or virgins, neither of which we want to talk about extensively. So, we're going to come back to you after I get this reduced down and cooked down a bit. Keep it moving. I cannot recommend that enough. Always keep this mixture moving. We're going to get this down and then finish it off when we come back. See you in a bit. Welcome back. All right, we have it simmered now. Basically, all you're looking for is for the onions to be translucent. Your entire kitchen is going to smell like heaven, unless you don't like vegetables, in which case you're probably as fat as I am. So, now I know that this looks like a lot of vegetables for what we are about to do. But I'm telling you right now, once we get this all in there, once we get this simmering, this is going to cook down and this is just going to be amazing flavor. So adding to this, nice and simple, 1 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes.
Okay.
Now, this is a little trick that I learned. The next one is 3 cups. Now, one of these is 4 cups of chicken stock. You're gonna want that extra cup because you're gonna use that to thin this thing out. 3 cups sometimes isn't enough, sometimes it's exactly right. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take some of it and use it to clean out the tomato can.
Okay.
Because you do want that tomato all up in your grill.
Or wok.
Then, I'm putting in about 3/4 of the stock.
Was that the National Geographic theme?
Possibly.
Okay.
That's about 3/4 of the stock. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of guessing at everything. Next. Now, this one I'm going to get flack for. We put that much stock in there because we're going to cook this down. We're going to let it soak into our rice. I'm going to add the rice right to here. You could reduce the liquid, reduce some of the other ingredients, and make this basically a giant stew with no rice in it. I'm putting the rice directly in to save myself a step later, and because this is also going to take some of this flavor and impart it to the rice. This is 1.5 cups of jasmine rice. Right in there. I only missed with 1 kernel. That's not bad. I usually do much worse. And finally, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of crushed dried thyme, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I'm using 1/2 because we're going for spicy today because everyone has been sick. And finally, 2 tablespoons of your seasoning. This is the Creole seasoning. We're just putting that all together. Finally, I lost one. There it is. 2 bay leaves. Once that's in there, stir this monstrosity up. Now you're going to want this on medium-high heat, and you're going to be stirring it every few minutes. You don't want it to burn, because here's the problem you're going to run into. Putting the rice in on this step is going to make this absolutely gorgeous. It's going to work. The rice is going to cook absolutely perfectly. However, if any of it gets stuck to the bottom, you're going to have a mess on your hands. You're going to have some overly cooked rice, and well, scraping it off and eating that burnt, cookie-like rice made of Cajun seasoning is amazing. The dishes aren't worth it, so don't do it. So we're gonna get this all incorporated, and after that happens, with the lid off, we're gonna wait for it to get up to a simmer.
Yes.
Now, once it starts simmering, we're gonna come back. Actually, no, I'm gonna stick with you for a little bit.
All right.
So this is a really good winter dish. I've absolutely loved doing this because this is one, I pardon the old saying, this one sticks to your bones. This is wonderful for a nice winter night. Saying if you were out with your family, celebrating maybe a graduation, doing charity work for orphans, or what else would you use it for? Smoking in your garage non-stop where it's cold out and you want to warm up with something spicy.
For charity.
For charity.
Yeah.
For charity. One of those three things with nothing else. Only eat the... Okay, fine, eat it whenever. I do like this as a winter meal, though. I have always enjoyed it. So right now, if you want to get in there, you can kind of see that right now this looks like a very liquidy soup. So we're going to bring this up to a simmer, and then we're going to start cooking it down. Now, still to come is one last weird ingredient, an ingredient that we don't use too much, at least I don't use it too much, that's going to thicken this whole thing up. It's not flour, it's not your normal thing, thickening agent. Coming up in a little bit, we are going to show you the power of okra. Okra, the slimiest of vegetables. We'll be right back, guys. See you soon. We're back, and we nearly have jambalaya. Now, as you can see, this is already pretty goddamn thick. This is what you're looking for. I tasted it recently. The rice is almost cooked through. It's got a little bit more to go. So at that time, you add your final ingredients. First, the miracle ingredient, 1 cup of okra. You're gonna slice that okra, not too thin. This is gonna cook down. It's gonna take that slime out of here, and it's gonna use it to thicken this even more. And to that, you're gonna add your last protein, if you choose to use shrimp. Now this was, I peeled and deveined and detailed these, and I basically just added, once again, a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of Cajun seasoning, some red pepper. This one's a nice and spicy one. This is also going to be your timer. So I am going to cook this until the shrimp are done, until the shrimp are pink.
Okay.
And once that happens, we're gonna come back in, throw in the rest of our protein, and do the last of the seasoning. Now, if you didn't notice, one thing I did not put in is salt and pepper. Now, why is that? The first reason is I bought salted chicken stock. I did not do an unsalted chicken stock, and there's no reason to do that. Salted chicken stock will do you fine because you're going to be adding it in early. Also, we're reducing this, so if you added your pepper and your salt too early, you might over-season the dish because all that is getting reduced down. The pepper and the salt don't leave, just some of the liquid in the water. So the last thing we're going to put in is salt and pepper to kind of even and balance out all those flavors that we have in here. So I'm just incorporating everything we did into this giant. If you haven't figured out, this is why I changed over to the larger pot, by the way.
Yeah.
This is almost overflowing, and we still have to add back in our proteins. So this is getting a few stirs to incorporate everything, and then we are going to cook it until that shrimp is nice and pink and tender. And that is going to be our jambalaya. We're going to come back to you right before we add the last protein. See you in a moment. Here we go. We're about to finish this up. Now, come on in here and take a look. This is what we're talking about. If you've never cooked shrimp before, these were little gray pieces of shrimp. That is a cooked shrimp. So you're looking for it to get that color, and that is your timer. So, now look how thick this is. That is the okra doing its job. It imparts a bit of flavor and really thickens this up. Now, for the worst step. Stir until you can find your damn bay leaves.
Oh no.
This is the world's worst game of hide and seek. We're gonna just keep moving this around. Oh, found one. Bay leaf 1 is out. And keep going until you find bay leaf. Oh. Bay leaf 2. That was the fastest I have ever found the bay leaves.
Those won't come apart pretty much?
Those come right out. So they've already imparted their flavor. We've got the shrimp in, we've got the okra. We go back to the rest of our protein. And now, another very difficult part, figuring out how to stir this shit. Now, there is a bit of oil at the bottom here. So we're at, you know what? I'm gonna do this the easier way. I'm gonna use the lid to trap the grease. Put it through a strainer.
Ah. Science.
I didn't need a piece of andouille.
Well, you gotta take one out, obviously.
Oh yeah, no, there was one piece too many than the andouille.
This is all very scientific.
Ultra scientific, dude.
Alrighty then.
All right, and there's the andouille. There is the chicken.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is
Woo!
this right here.
Holy shiz.
Is one of my all-time favorites. This is a meal that will stick to your bones and warm you up no matter how cold the night. This is our jambalaya. Now, when I am done here, I will be tasting it. I will be adding salt and pepper to taste. I don't usually add a lot. Maybe a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper to this entire thing. It doesn't need too much of it because you're imparting a lot of the flavor from the proteins, from the vegetables, from your stock, from all that stuff. So for the most part, I haven't found I needed a lot of extra salt and pepper. But, you know, do it to your taste. Also, remember at the beginning, I told you I was putting in 4, I can't remember the name of the pepper now, but 2 serrano and 4...
Poblano?
Yeah, sounds about right. But you can feel free to reduce those. You don't need to use that much spice. This is an ultra spicy dish for us tonight because we want to be able to taste it through our sinuses. If you don't want that much spice, reduce it. And that's how you reduce it, is by reducing down the peppers at the beginning. And there we go. You know what? Hold on. All right.
Oh boy.
A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, and I think at this point, that is jambalaya.
Yeah, that looks wonderful.
I tried this recipe for the first time, finding it online, and I just made it for the home, and I failed miserably. The second time I tried it, it was one of our immediate favorite winter foods.
Yep.
Guys, find a recipe, try it out, enjoy yourself. This has been Cooking with Alkali. Hope you enjoyed, and maybe even learned something. Mostly about how much weed we smoke. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Night.